Do you want to create a professionally shot video just like what you're seeing on the screen right now? Let me show you. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what equipment we use and how we actually use the equipment to create a professional looking video like you just saw. All right, cool. So the first thing, which kind of goes without saying, is you need a proper camera. I'm going to walk you through the exact camera setup that I use. So this is the Sony a7 Mark IV. If you're a beginner, you don't need a camera like this, all right? You don't need, like, this is overkill if you're a beginner. If you're a beginner, just go for any of the lower Sony models. Pretty much all the Sony cameras are sick, yeah? I'm not a camera nerd. I know how to make money off my camera, all right? So I'm not gonna sit here and yap about fucking different cameras, why this one's better. Bro, find a decent camera at your budget and just get it, yeah? So I know that the body, it does a lot for the video, but the main thing is the lens, yeah? The body, you don't need to be shooting 4K for your videos. You don't need to be shooting 4K, 120 frames per second. Look, you just need HD 60 frames a second, even 30 frames per second. You don't need that much, all right? So, next thing is the SD card inside here. So the SD card inside here, bro, for a little card like this, it cost me fucking 150 quid. It costs a lot more than you'd think because this is a V60 or V90 you can get, which if you're going for the 4K footage, which I needed because I shoot 4K with this camera, but in this case, I'm not going to, all right? So just any SD card will probably do for you. Next thing is the lens. The lens that I am using here is a Tamron 17 to 28 millimeter lens. Essentially what this means is let me put my fucking lens on first. Essentially what this means is that this lens is a wider lens, all right? 17 to 28, that's quite wide. Usually what people shoot at is 28 to kind of 50 range for just normal stuff. So 17 millimeters just means that's gonna be that tad bit wider, which in this case is what you want because I'm guessing you guys would be mounting it up on your desk like that. It's gonna be relatively close to your face. So you don't want a 50mm lens because that's gonna be right zoomed in. You would want a wider lens. So what I go for, Tamron 17 to 28, it's an f2.8. So the f-stop on your camera means that the lower the f-stop, the more light it will let in. And it also means that the more blurred the background will be. So f2.8 is decently low. I have 1.4 lenses, which are super low and the background gets really blurred. But for this case, 2.8 works just fine, okay? So that is the camera settings that we're gonna run through. If you wanna set your camera, so the settings which I record at is HD 60 frames per second. I like 60 frames per second. I don't like 30 frames per second because I feel like it's a bit jaggedy, I get some people like it for sitting down stuff, but me personally, I prefer recording in HD 60 frames per second, especially because what I'm recording for is going onto social media anyway, and it's gonna get compressed down. So why should I record in 4K, send it to my editors, waste so much storage, when you can just save yourself the hassle, record in 4K, all right? Next thing what you're gonna need is you're gonna need a tripod of some sort, okay? Why do you need a tripod when you can have one of these? This is a Magic Arm. These are crazy. I literally only discovered them a few months ago, but oh my God. Mount it on the bottom, and then this is like a clamp. Clamp it onto anything. So like this, for example, I'd clamp it onto that, and then the camera can be from there, It saves you having a big ass tripod on your desk, all right? So that's that. All right, so the next thing is the microphones. So with the microphones, I use a DJI Mic 1. There are newer mics out there, DJI Mic 2, which I'm actually using now, yeah? Which I'm filming this on the Osmo Pocket 3. You don't need to know about that. But this is a DJI Mic 2. It came with the camera that I'm using right now. But for this set, this is a proper camera, this one that I'm using here. You will need some mics, okay? Whether you use a shotgun mic, but me personally, I like these wireless mics more because it's a lot better audio quality in my opinion, all right? Boom, that you're gonna need the audio cable to plug it into your camera. Put it in there, in the hot shoe mount, audio cable into the out, and then flip this here and put that audio cable into this slot of the camera. Boom, your audio setup is done. Okay, so for the audio settings, I have the transmitter gain on my mics as +7. The receiver gain, I have it at -1, and then use the standard camera. You don't want to mess with the camera settings, yeah? So that is what I use for the audio. Okay, another thing, I was literally just about to forget. Then what you do is you get this cable. So this cable is an addition that I have. Obviously, I have my own media agency. I have all this stuff already, yeah? You guys, you don't have to get it, but this makes it look a bit more professional. So this is a mic, standard DJI Mic 1, all right? But this is what you call a lavalier mic or lav mic, as for short. It's called a lav mic. You're gonna plug that literally into there. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna put that in your pocket, and then that lav mic, what you're gonna do is literally run it up your shirt and then plug it in at the top, like I plugged it in here. And just like that, it looks a lot neater than having, see this compared to this. It's a lot neater and a lot more professional, this one. All right, boom. That is your audio sorted. The next thing is the lighting. Desk setup, it is really, really simple, all right? That is how I have my setup at the moment. You'll see, if I switch the camera, that is how I have my setup at the moment. That is where my camera would be. I have two cameras actually. I'm gonna put that camera where that's basically where that is. So this, I don't really like a straight on light because it makes your face look flat and it gives no depth to the image. And I don't like the effect of just front facing light. So what I do is I have the lighting a little bit to the side, and you always want the light to be tilted up above you a bit. So my head is here. The light is a little bit above my head, down at a little angle. That is what I think looks the best. It gives you a little bit of shadow on that side of your face, and to be honest, I think that looks the best. You can do it from whatever side you want to do it from, okay? Bear in mind also, you might have some natural light sources. If you have a window there, for example, like I used to have in my room, you want to kind of play around with it all, but like just make sure that there isn't another source of light, or you block off the other source of light if there is one, all right? So that is that. The next thing is my filters, actually. One filter that really levels up the production of your videos is, so this right here is a black diffusion filter. What this does is it blooms the highlights. It makes it, gives it a really cinematic effect. Like if you have a highlight here, for example, it would like bloom it and it looks really good. You don't want to go for a quarter, don't want to go for a half, obviously depending on the cinematicness and the effect that you're going for. For me, I find that 1/8 works perfectly. Doesn't reduce the image quality, and doesn't take too much of an effect. So I find 1/8 is the best strength for that. So that's that. Always get the max size. Whenever you're buying filters, always get the max size filter. So for me here, for example, I got an 82mm. Even though my lens is only like a 72, what I do is these step-up rings. Essentially, what you do with these step-up rings is you add them onto each other. So one goes onto the other, which then goes onto the other. And boom, now that is a 67mm entry. And then this exit here is that. So now I can attach this smaller one onto this bigger one. Essentially, that goes like that. Reason why I do this is because I have different sized lenses. My 50mm f1.4 lens is a lot wider, yeah? Has a bigger radius. I don't want to keep attaching different filters, and I don't want to keep buying different filters. It's going to fucking drain my bank account. So what I'm going to do instead is just have the biggest size, and then add the step-up rings. Boom, simple as that. Now you only need one filter for all the lenses, basically. So, next thing is mounting it. Really fucking simple, guys. Add, twist it onto the camera. But the main thing with these videos is the lighting. You want the lighting to be slick when you record these videos, okay? My lighting is the main thing, yeah? So if I show you now, if I kind of tilt you guys upwards a bit, so you can see what I'm gonna do, literally. You know, I could take this one off the mount, but I can't be asked. Like, I'm not even gonna lie to you, I just can't be asked. Because I think this is genuinely stuck to that thing. I twisted it on so hard, I can't get it off now. But yeah, so that's that, that's away now, it's out of the way. So essentially what I'm shooting for is an ad. So I want the ad to be portrait, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna mount it, portrait. All right, cool, let's just get a starting point, then we can adjust it. It's always the hardest bit, which is mounting it. And the way you can check that this is actually properly in line, so if you press that, you can see the guidelines. So you can see that's a little bit slanted, yeah? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fix that, boom. All right, perfect. So that is that set up like that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to change the settings on this because, as you can see, I have my Mainway Media sign in the back. But the problem with these LED signs is sometimes the shutter rate of it, look, you can see it makes a flicker. You can see it flickers, all right? So usually what you have to do, people say your shutter speed needs to be double your frame rate. So here, I'm recording at 60 frames a second, HD 60 frames per second. All right, cool. So the next thing you have to do is we have to adjust the camera settings. As you can see on this here, it looks all right, yeah? But that's the thing. Our shutter speed at the moment is 1/250. Usually you want your shutter speed to be double your frame rate. So let's do that. First of all, for it to look nice and crisp, you want it to be double. So let's turn that down to 1/125 and see, to be fair, looks nice, yeah? However, sometimes with LEDs, it creates like it looks really like it flickers. Sometimes the lights flicker. So what you want to do, so we'll keep it at 125. f2.8, we're going to keep that how it is. And then ISO, that's the last thing you change. That is a little bit bright, so what I'm going to do, turn down the ISO. As you can see here, I'm going to turn it down to around 500, I think. That looks best. No, actually, let's adjust it. Maybe 640. Yeah, I think 640 looks the cleanest, personally. So, boom, literally just like that, we have our entire recording setup done. I know it's a little bit of a lengthy video for you guys, but I just wanted to show you that it is not that hard, all right? It is, people overcomplicate it, but it really is that simple. All you need to do is to be able to naturally set up a setup like this. Just keep recording, keep recording, keep recording. Record in all different settings so you get used to everything and you know how to handle different situations, all right? If you have a camera like that and you want to start producing some sick videos, don't go on auto and just auto do all the settings. That will look shit, yeah? If you want to properly do it this way. Oh, one last thing I actually forgot to mention before I do the outro is this RGB tube. This, I think personally, it looks really, really nice. So what I like to do is add a little RGB tube there. And what I'm gonna do is play around with things. To be honest, red and blue look quite good together. I think that's what we're gonna go with on the video. But yeah, that's pretty much a wrap on everything you need to know. You've got blue, got the LEDs there. If you have a camera, don't go on auto settings and let auto do it, because to be honest, it's probably gonna fucking look shit. What would be best is if you can know how to use the camera and you can adjust it yourself. And I hope this video gave you a bit of clarity on how to actually use a proper camera. Because I know there's a lot of people out there who have a camera around, but they just don't know how to use it, all right? Hope this video made it really simple for you. Like, subscribe, do whatever you have to do, and I'll see you in the next video.